thank you for coming out on a wonderful Leavenworth, Kansas day, okay? This is like too beautiful. Can we take this outside?
I wouldn't oppose.
Okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I believe we have a quorum. I'm looking at 5 of my collaborators, and so thank you all for coming, especially some of you that had some highway time before we got here. Has everyone had an opportunity to view the minutes? I will entertain a motion.
Move they be accepted.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. It is unanimous. Let's see here. According to my information in front of me provided by this outstanding staff, and I make it a point to say that because you're only as good as the staff that's working with you, making sure that we look like we're very efficient. We don't have any old business. So I think, okay, if it's okay with everyone else, then we'll move directly into new business. And the first item is 1008 South Esplanade. And so for note business-wise, we were going to page 2. Okay. Can we hear from you on this, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is a proposal to renovate the side porch. I can't really see it in this picture. Hold on, let me I'm assuming it, yeah, there we go. The side porch to, I lost my spot already. Okay, upgrade it to a 3-season room with vinyl windows and painted steel to match the facade of the house. The square footage of the porch will remain the same, and is just wishing to upgrade it to make it more sustainable and longer lasting, since it's currently wood and just screen doors is what they're proposing. I guess y'all have any questions first? Okay, we'll go ahead and over the review portion of the staff.
If you would, please.
The existing structure will undergo a minor physical change by replacing the side screening porch with a 3-season room. The cosmetic would change to vinyl windows and painted steel siding. And then number 2, the proposed renovation would not compromise the integrity of the historical significance of the house at all, because it's the same footage and they're keeping it the same. Number 3, the vinyl windows and painted steel sides are the proposed materials for the renovation. This does not create a false sense of historical architectural elements based on the aesthetics will harmonize with the main structure. And number 4, there are no prior changes with the known historical significance to the building. Number 5, no existing historical features, finishes, or construction techniques will be altered. Number 6, the proposed changes involve the replacement of the screens that enclose the porch with vinyl windows and painted steel frames to match the facade of the building. Number 7, no chemical or physical treatments are proposed. Number 8, no known significant archaeological resources exist for the preservation. Number 9, the proposed changes do not destroy any historic materials that characterize the property. And number 10, the proposed construction to undergo an existing property, if in the future is removed, will not impact the integrity of the historic significance of the structure and can be easily repaired to a state that it would keep the facade consistent.
And your staff recommendation would be?
Oh, yes, approval. And then I can also show you I guess the same pictures.
When I looked through the package, the only thing that I wasn't sure that I was looking at was a sketch of how the windows were going to look. I wasn't sure if that was just,
Right.
there's a template for the base but I figured once I got here and I deferred that question to you, yeah, this piece right here. Show me where the doors were. I was, because both of you gentlemen have a lot more architectural appreciation than I do, but when I looked at the picture, that was the only thing that I was missing to fill it in for me.
Right.
The only clarification I have is the clapboard siding that's inside the room itself, is that going to be treated in any way or removed? The clapboard siding?
Yeah, the applicant slash owner
Oh,
is
I'm
here, so-
sorry. Let me back up. Is there someone here that is representing the topic that we're discussing? Thank you. Is that Mr. Kane, is that correct, sir?
Bill Kay, yeah.
Well, Bill, thank you for coming,
live in-
because we have questions that, they're so efficient, we just always presume that they've got all the answers, but could you help me with that just please, if you don't mind?
Some work with the cost, and on the lower half, it's all screen doors right now, or screens. And the bottom half of the room would be siding, like wood and whatever, and insulated and that kind of thing. And the it's metal siding that's on the house now. It would be matched, and so the windows would only be for the top half of the room around.
Do you
Did that
have
help?
a sketch of the windows?
No,
Okay.
that was just what I want them to do.
So just to clarify, Mr. Kay, the house is not on historical registration or anything, is it, itself? Okay,
Just in the
just the district,
Just
okay.
in the district. Dick, does that address your inquiry? Well, that's a good thing. Is there anything else, sir, you'd care to share with us?
No, I appreciate that wanted to stay the same, and it needs some updating because it's 150 years old. But so in the process of doing that, I just want to make it a little more living area that will look nice from the outside also.
Yeah, I see no problem with it at all, just driving by it.
He's our drive-by expert.
Yeah, thank you.
He is.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we, I'll make a motion that we give the major certificate of appropriateness to 108 Esplanade, South Esplanade.
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 And I live right down the street from you, so, yeah. I second it.
Okay. So it's been moved and properly seconded that we go ahead and approve the item which is in front of us. I'll start on your end.
Aye.
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 Yeah.
So we'll look forward to Sherry's neighborhood improving.
I know, I did a walk by.
And thank you very, very much. It always helps me when not only do we have visuals, but that we have the person here, just so that our tough, well-grounded questions can be addressed. So thank you very much. All right, I think the next item is
28 doors.
the 28 doors. And it's listed under the umbrella of Miss Wendy Schmidt.
Okay.
Okay,
We got a gentleman here.
okay, so great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And would you identify yourself for us, please, sir?
Sure. My name is Marty Pope. I own Reunions Antiques at 414 Delaware, and I'm a member of Leavenworth Main Street and chair of the Leavenworth Main Street Promotions Committee,
Yes, sir.
and a member of the Leavenworth Main Street Design Committee.
Thank you.
And so this is what I came to discuss with you this evening is an event that we're planning in the third week of June for local artists. We have changed the name. It was originally called the 28 Doors of Leavenworth. But we decided that since they may not all be doors, we call them First City Passageways. And just to give you an idea of what we're looking at doing, it actually is patterned after something you're going to hear more about here in a little bit. It's a competition of local artists. We'll identify doorways or bricked up windows or elements downtown that would look like a passageway into something else, and local artists will present us with a rendering of what they would like to paint on that surface. If you look at the back of the page that you were just given, there are some samples there, some pictures. Of some blank areas that we think would be improved. The artist rendering would be up to the artist and okayed by the building owner. But the whole idea is that it will look like an open passage into something. It could be a person standing there waving, a historic person. It could be opening into a garden. It could be opening into outer space. But if you'll look at the samples that I've given you there, the first one in the upper left-hand corner is a bricked-up window. That's one of the reasons we thought, well, maybe passageways would be better than the concept of doors. There are several doors downtown, the one in the upper right-hand corner and the one in the middle left, where a door has been plywooded over. The middle, very middle one is a door on the side of the the old Hollywood Theater. The one on the center right and at the bottom left are both small areas that are about 3 foot square that are under the stairs and right next to the stairs on the east side of the landing. They're plywooded over old windows. The one at the very bottom is on the back of our building. It's our elevator doors that open into the alley, but they can be seen from Shawnee and also as you're walking in that little pocket park next to Mutual Savings. We brought this concept to you tonight so that we could just get feedback in order to proceed, what you would like to see from us. We've already talked to the local Leavenworth Artists Association and got several people that are excited about it. There may only be 4 or 5 that are done. We could do up to, we'd like to do no more than 14 at the most. But it would be an event that we might have each summer. Some of them down the road might be painted over. But it's just a concept that we would like to try this summer, and we came to you. We're going to try to choose buildings that are not listed properties. We will not be painting on unpainted brick. As you can see from the samples here, most of the doors will not be doors that are currently in use.
I'm calling it the competition or the opportunity to express oneself, is that only going to be limited to Leavenworth artists? Because as I read through it, you gave a pretty broad scope on.
Right.
Did you
Once we put out a call to artists, they could be artists from anywhere that would want to participate. Our plan is, of course, we're limited on funds. Our prizes are not huge, and we'll give a small stipend to all the artists that participate to help cover some of their costs. But we know because of our prize money that we're not looking probably at anybody, other than local artists. But if they would like to participate, they're more than welcome. And what we're going to do also is from the renderings we receive, we'll try to be as selective as possible with what we go with. And we have a design committee that will look at the renderings and choose the ones we would like to see. And also, of course, it will have to be something that the building owner would okay also. Everything, for instance, these doors right here, the building owner will be contacted and the project will be discussed, and we'll have to get the building owner's approval before we can proceed.
That was
Mm-hmm.
my first question. I see here that conform to common decency standards. So
Yes.
the owner will say, oh, I'm not really sure if I want that. Can maybe we tweak it to this? So-
Sure. Well, I mean, and there are some, I'll give you a for instance. Barb Spear that owns the Book Barn. She has a door on the front of her building that leads to an upstairs apartment. And she said, and when I mentioned this to her, she said, I think it would be really cool if there was a little girl leaning against the door jamb reading a book. And it would be for, with her business and such as it is. So there will be some building owners that have ideas that artists may not agree to or want to do, but there will also be some artist renderings that will not be acceptable to the building owner. We'll just kind of have to work those things out. We may only get 4 or 5 this first year. We'll just have to see how it goes.
So these ones on the back, have these all been pre-approved by the owner?
No, we have not.
They have
These are
not.
just, I just walked around and took pictures. In fact, we're looking at maybe 6 blocks on Delaware, all of these.
Okay.
And so when we spread out into other areas, there are lots of this type of thing downtown that I think would be eligible.
And it's just gonna be like a verbal exchange, hey, are you open to this?
There will have to be some kind of agreement that the building owner and the artist will sign, just for
Right,
that kind of thing. But
legal reasons, okay. I think it's a great idea.
And another curiosity question, do you have a plan on how you'll pair up the artist and the building owner?
Well,
For example, on the
for
Book
instance-
Barn, if there's an artist that, you don't want to necessarily pair up an artist that doesn't want to do a girl in a book, for example.
You bet. Once we get the okays, for instance, say these 8 are the ones that we get approved from the building owner. And we talk to the artists and we say, okay, here's what we've got to work with. These are the dimensions. This little space is only about 3 by 3. This is a full-size door. This is a window. They'll be able to take this and come up with what they think they would like to do for this space. And then they'll turn in the rendering to us so that we'll have something to look at and decide on.
How are you gonna advertise it?
Probably mostly social media. We've already, like I said, we've already been to the Leavenworth Artists Association, and we've got a connection with the Tonganoxie Artists Association, and also Bonner Springs, too. And so we've hit 3 local artists associations, but then we'll also send it out through Main Street's Facebook page, also on the website.
Yeah.
That's what
those
we've discussed so
channels.
far.
And who is the judging committee?
And who's what, I'm
The
sorry?
judging committee, is that picked?
It'll
already?
be the design committee.
It will be?
Yes.
And they're already picked?
Yes, design committee is pretty much an open committee. Anybody that is interested in the look or the design of downtown. And it's just one of the standing Main Street committees.
Oh, okay.
Carolyn Kelly right here with Home 2 Suites is the chair of that committee.
Okay.
Is there any stipulation as far as the materials that are used?
We'd like for them to, of course, they're all outdoor. And so we would like for them to use materials that would survive for a couple years. Like I said, some of them will be painted over eventually in other competitions down the road. We've even thought about maybe after the first 2 years to have a Facebook competition. Which are your favorite doors downtown? And the ones that are not the favorites might be ones that got painted over. We haven't we haven't worked that far ahead. But in the artist's information here, we've said we'd like for you to use materials that will survive a couple years of Leavenworth weather.
You could even incorporate it into your monthly, like, social events downtown, and maybe do one, let's go look at all the murals around town and judge them, kind of thing.
Well, it's any time that you, I mean, we already here on Shawnee have several murals and sculptures and such. I see people all the time walking from one to another. They'll be looking at the First City mural, and then they'll see Abe Lincoln, and so they'll walk over to Abe Lincoln, and then they'll see the plaque over on the building across the street. You know, I see people do that all the time. And so it would even make a cool scavenger hunt. Lots of possibilities, I think. Anytime you bring art to a downtown, I think you're when word travels, I think you're going to see tourism increase. You're going to see people say, I heard that Spock is on the side of a building in Leavenworth. You know, let's go see it. That kind of thing, I think, always draws in people.
Very nice.
And I see that you have a really tight window for the artist to come in and do what they're going to do.
It's a doorway.
Okay.
These aren't, for the most part, professional artists that we're looking at. We give them from the first Friday, I think it starts on a Friday and ends on the following Saturday.
Yes.
Yes. And so they have, it's also a draw for folks to come see the artists in action. But in a week's time, depending on the weather, of course, they should be able to complete what they've set out to do on this size project easily.
Mr. Otto, do you have any?
I've got a question. Mr. Pope, is it on your to-do list to reach out to the county high schools too and invite those
Sure, you
students as
bet.
well?
I've actually talked to, not the high school art teacher, but a couple of the area art teachers that, you know, I said, if you've got some good artists that want to provide us with a rendering in the competition, we'd love to see it. Part of it is difficulty with students, school students, is they might have done this with their teacher or something, but of course it's in the summer. St. Mary, we've thought about approaching them, but again, there's the difficulty of it being in the summer. But we'll still get them the information and then let them make that decision.
Sure, great.
So who's supporting the funding of the prizes? Is that Main Street?
It is.
Okay.
So it's well-funded. It's designed to bring attention to our downtown, which we're all very supportive of. And I guess I usually don't make motions, but I'm moved that we approve this. Good, yes.
This is just for discussion because this will, if any of these are in the historical district, we'll have to come to you with
Okay.
the design like we've had with the other.
What we would like to do is if it's amenable to you, come back next month with the doorways or the passageways that we've chosen, and then and their location, you know, what they're made of, for instance, the plywood covered doors or the bricked up window or whatever, and give you that information so then you can make your call. Would that be all right?
Sure.
I think so.
I mean, because you're gonna have to start
Unfortunately,
advertising
they
soon.
will not make the deadline. The deadline's the 6th of this month to get to, for next month's agenda.
Oh, sure.
And they put it out on May the 1st, so how's that gonna work?
It-
So we won't have approval of what actual locations these will be now?
You have to have approval.
Tonight, without even knowing who they are?
No, because this is just a discussion because they don't have an address, so we don't have anything to,
So.
this is just a discussion of the idea for them to proceed.
So is there a mechanism that would allow us to work around that piece? I mean, because they have a short suspense, you're going to solicit contributors for the project. I don't know if we ever have a special to readdress something like that, and that's maybe something we could discuss offline, because that's pretty much my genesis of my motion, is that just there seems to be a lot of positiveness that's going to come out of there. And as we all know, any project always takes longer than you think it's going to take. So that's why I'm asking if you can maybe help me, and Jackie get back with me as to if there is some kind of workaround in our flexibility to where we could do an additional either telephonic piece to, yeah, or email it to make that consideration, since once we establish that it's not going to be a variance on something in the historical preservation district, I
Like a
think.
form by email saying I agree to these places, they're okay?
Right,
Something like
because
that, is that what you're thinking?
that's
I
kind
think
of,
that's a no-no.
Yeah, no,
have to have a meeting.
no, because we have to hold a public hearing and have a 45-day notification.
Okay, so let me ask Marty this. Are the dates solid?
No, they're not solid.
Could you bump it out a month? Is that like a lot of work to do?
No, the only thing is, well, I mean, we've chosen this time period because it's not,
It's not 100 degrees yet.
yes.
I think going along with the original plan is fine.
But also with our Main Street schedule of events.
I gotcha.
The
It's a
longer
lot.
you go in the year, the busier things
It's just a
get.
suggestion.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it couldn't be done. If we have to, we have to, but.
Well, do we have another solution, Michelle, to do this?
The only thing I can think of is because, I mean, state statute requires us to send notifications. So, I mean, we have to do that. The only thing I could possibly think of would be to maybe set a different date for the board to meet.
I mean, like closer together? Like time frame?
I would have to research and see when we can do a special meeting.
I guess I would just ask that as quick as we can make everything mesh for them.
Yeah, I think it's a
My
positive.
understanding
Get it off the
is
ground.
that the applications would still have to be submitted.
yes.
You have to have applications for every address. That had to be submitted. You'd have to have the signature, obviously, of the property owners, and it's the same process. The notifications, I mean,
We have to have the public.
How quickly do you think you could do that, Marty? 2 weeks, you think you could?
Well, you tell me when I need it and I can have it. I mean, I don't know what the guidelines are if we almost need to look working backwards, so I'd know when.
Maybe you can work that out with staff on those dates.
your contact information.
Sure, oh, yeah.
That way we don't
Yeah, we'll
take your time
look
to figure all
into
that
what
out.
we can do
Actually,
for like a
on
special
this
meeting.
page.
That way,
I'm not going anywhere this month.
since the due date
Maybe not.
for the next
I'm
one
on
would be.
Okay, because it seems like the general consensus on this end of the room is that we're,
It's accommodating.
I think it's a fabulous idea, I really do.
because sometimes the things that we don't do is that I'd have a tendency to procrastinate instead of action it. And I'm kind of sometimes very supportive of trying to action something. So I appreciate all the input on, and we'll get with Marty, I think, after the meeting's over, and just try to find out if there's some more details that we can kind of hammer out and to not belabor the point. But unless you've got something else for Marty, thank you very much. Wendy? Sure. If you would, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Wendy, the Main Street Director. So for our planning purposes, I understand an application submitted, and she just commented, every address, is that a $200 cost per location?
No, we would do the one cost and apply for everybody.
Umbrella.
In a bundle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, I know you want to work with staff, but it sounds like Marty will need the renderings for you to approve as well?
The locations.
Well, the location's one thing,
And the
but the
renderings,
actual
yeah.
rendering,
You're right,
rendering.
correct, yeah.
So that's gonna take a while.
I think it's gonna be actually more time and pressure on Marty than on anybody.
Right.
Okay.
Get your roller skates out, Marty.
The sooner he can get everything in, the better.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has any input while they're here? With the chair of this project, would you care to say anything?
Well, Marty and I work really close together on all of these. We meet monthly and
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Carolyn Kelly. I'm the manager of Home 2 Suites and a member of Main Street, of course, and chair of the design committee. We work really closely together with the promotional committee, and of course, Marty and I, we meet monthly for design as well. One of the things that we've done with him, and he's really the go-getter on this project. I have another one we're going to be talking about in a moment, but we'll do everything we can, work with the community however we can to get it done as fast as we can. We really want the community to start building beauty downtown but keep the preservation look. One of the things we started with, of course, was a mural that's on Main Street building. I'm sure all of you have seen how that's progressing. But Marty's got control of this one. He's your guy when it comes to getting all that planned, and he's got a lot of contacts in the community, so we'll do whatever we can to work with him and get this done for you guys.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm Scott Cunningham. I've also worked with the design committee as well. I would just like to ask, first of all, are the restriction we're talking about, are these laws, rules, or guidelines?
State statute.
State statutes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, I would just like to say that, this is something this is a huge positive for the town. I think everybody up here seems to be of the same opinion. I think the main problem we're experiencing here is we have got rules that are not allowing us to get out of our own way on this. So I would say, obviously, everybody is positive about the project. I'd recommend approval, which I think everybody else would concur with. But then, obviously, whatever we could do to expedite it, to make it happen on the timeline that they've gone for to make it happen for the variety of logistical reasons and social reasons that they're trying to make it happen. I think, we've got the door project we're discussing. We've got the wall project that we'll discuss next, apparently. But these are all good things for Leavenworth. We need to be in compliance with the laws, obviously, but I'm sure that there are ways to streamline it, push it forward. And I would recommend that we emphasize pushing it as aggressively as possible to make a good thing happen for Leavenworth.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Ms. Smith, is there going to be some conversation reference additional murals downtown today, or does that conclude that portion? Oh,
That was
yes.
it. That was
Okay.
all, just that one item.
Okay, just that one item?
Are you asking, excuse me, are you asking if it's a separate situation?
Yeah, oh, no, if there was going to be some additional input from, because you mentioned,
No, I was actually just talking,
okay,
I've actually been told that we're gonna talk about murals as well, but we were talking about the door project. And I was just endorsing that whole effort.
okay, thank you. I'm just going, that's clarity on my part also.
Yeah, I think it's a
But you did
separate
mention-
topic entirely. I had just mentioned it because it is kind of in the same vein.
But you mentioned a wall mural,
Yeah, we don't have it on our agenda.
and we don't have that on the agenda.
Tracy, Bo, you should have on your agenda, I sent that in.
It's all, Julie just had me put all in his Wendy.
Oh, gotcha, okay. It's not just fine tuned on our agenda.
Okay, all right.
So if we may proceed to that next portion, if you would, please.
I might PowerPoint my hard drive. Can I pull up real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Well, he's getting that squared away. The gentleman that just talked, I agree with him 100%. This is something we don't want to bog down. So whatever has to be done to get it kicked off immediately, if not sooner, we just need to do it. And I'll leave that up to the staff and we'll all concur with that.
Yep, I second that.
While still following the process that we're required to follow.
That's true.
And making sure that we don't skip any of our guidelines.
Our regulations. Keep us
But
in
thank you,
mind.
that was
So
some
is-
very
this is
specific
all
input,
under
appreciate
Leavenworth
that.
Main Street, obviously my name, but we met Brandon Baker a little while back. He's Leavenworth, grew up in Leavenworth, was a teacher at LHS, a swim coach, comes highly recommended. But anyway, he's the Spray Sea Mo chairperson. I don't know if you've seen any of those murals that are in the Crossroads districts and all over Kansas City. We are excited that he would like to bring some of that art to Leavenworth. We're very privileged. So I will let him talk more about his background, what they do, the time frame that we have met with him in our design committee, and an exciting project. Art is very tourist-driven, makes people come as a destination. Then they stay overnight, spend money, eat in the restaurants, and talk about it, and then it builds. We know that the Mr. Spock folks have come from Europe, and they're not military. And Mr. Spock's son has seen it. It goes viral all over. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But it's part of a Main Street project.
Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm Brandon Baker. Guess I'm the vice president of Spray Sea Inc. We do a mural festival down in downtown Kansas City, in the Crossroads. If you want to scroll down to the next one, there you go. So yeah, we started in 2017, so last year was our 3rd year on the mural. I've been featured on every local news station and print publication, as well as we brought in Street Art NYC, which is one of the world's largest street art blogs, to see our murals that we paint in downtown. We paint large-scale murals, if you go to the next one. So our mural festival last year was 8 days. We painted over 30 buildings. We brought in 49 individual artists. We had a scope of influence of over 1 million people. We had artists representing 14 states, 18 countries. Went through about 5,000 cans of spray paint. We do daily tours, events, gallery shows during that week. And then we select our artists through varying backgrounds, geographical locations, artistic styles. For our festival, we make sure we promote inclusiveness when we bring our artists in, so we make sure we get a good group of people, not just from one location or one type of art style when we're bringing in our muralist. So really, I'm looking to do Spray Sea Leavenworth. Since I grew up here, I'd like to bring more art to downtown Leavenworth. I was the one who brought in Spock to get that one painted. Everyone seems to like that one. So the initial dates I'm looking for would be August 27th through 30th, would be that last weekend of August. 8 to 10 artists, and with doing 8 to 10 artists, I think we could do it if the community likes it for about 2 to 3 years with that many walls. Do print shows. I like to do mural projections and art installations, so different things that are non-permanent on top of the murals. Gallery shows, anything to do outside of the public, to do nighttime events, not just walking around checking out the murals as well. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. These are people that I've reached out to currently and are interested in doing a mural here at Leavenworth. So the top left corner is Alexina out of Brazil. Then going from left to right, you have Dan Kitchener from London. The other guy's Goose Art from Eastern Europe, I believe Belarus. And then Lydia Cow from Spain, who are all interested to come and paint some murals in Leavenworth. I've been reaching out to other ones, and they all seem pretty interested in painting a mural down here. And I know Jeremy, who did the Spock, really loved downtown Leavenworth when he was here, and he had a good time. Yeah, you can scroll down. And so for walls, like we're bringing in 8 to 10 artists, but I'd like a good pool of walls to show the artist prior. So maybe 20 approved walls, so the artist can pick their favorite wall, and then give us a concept. And we get business owners' approval beforehand. And approve the design of what's going up on the wall. So usually when we're selecting walls, we have the artists select their top 5 walls that they see a good fit for their design, and give the business owner top 5 artists. So we try and pair up artistic style for what the business owner wants and what the artist wants on their wall. And then I put a couple before and after photos from Spray See Mow from last year, what before and after walls look like on some of the downtown murals. I can answer any questions you guys have of what the festival would be like or ideas.
I have a few questions,
Yeah,
Mr. Baker. How's the concept of the overall activity run? Meaning, is this where you just kind of, the artist just starts and they're kind of sectioned off? Or is there more of a festival built around this?
Yep, it'd be a
as opposed
festival
to
built
just-
around it.
Okay.
And so we'd have the muralist painting. Through that weekend, we'd have to fly them in a little bit earlier. I'd fly them in just so they get the outline started, kind of the not so interesting stuff for the public to look at, just getting the outline. And they can walk around, like I'll have the art installations and print shows, different things for people to go in, walk into, businesses, different type of activities. Like for Spray See Mow, usually I do a daily tour I did a group run tour, or we did, there's a beer bus tour, group bike ride, so different tours to tour the town and see the murals while they're being painted. So that's the big part, is just walk around and see the process of them throwing up the large-scale murals.
And then, for example, like food trucks or
Food truck, yep,
something,
yep.
venues, those kind of things to add to the experience while everybody's there.
Precisely.
Okay, fantastic. I really like the concept. I had the privilege of working on the committee back in the late 90s for La Strada del Arte down at the Liberty Memorial Museum when they did the chalk art around there. They'd go in and they would actually resurface the asphalt with the black to give it a fresh coat of that, and then the chalk artists would come in. And some of that artwork, I mean, it was museum quality, the chalk work they did. It was amazing. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity to get some more art in the community and another festival opportunity and so forth.
Is there anything going on in the city in that week, since you are Main Street, Wendy?
Well, it's not the city's festival, if that's what you're asking. Camp, I think we just got the dates, is in September.
Okay.
We do a concert the second Saturday of August. There's jazz in the park. That's at the auditorium. I'm not sure if that's second or third. So I don't think there'd be a big conflict with this date. Is that what you mean, like a conflict?
I'm just curious in our city activities and the projection. 'Cause
And tying with that, Mr. Commissioner, I was thinking more of an opportunity to do several things at once.
Oh, yes.
Not
No, it's
necessarily a conflict, but an opportunity to combine activities.
I call it more of a collaboration that,
Yeah.
because I know we do a lot of things in the latter portion of the summer. So I guess my only initial question would simply be is, do we have buildings or businesses in town that seem like that they would be willing to contribute the side of their building for this project? And have we identified some of those spaces?
Yeah, I have a list of, walls that I found that I find would be a good suit, and usually I think about 56, 60 walls. I started to reach out to some of them, and Karma Cakes, their building, they just got back to me, and she's all on board and very interested in it, as well as Merryweather's, they got back to me, and they'd also be interested to hear more about it. So I'm just progressively sending out more emails, and so far I've gotten, all positive feedback.
Okay.
So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
The artists, it seems like most of them are from overseas. Is
Yeah.
there a reason for that?
We do overseas. We do a mixture of overseas, national, and local artists as well. So we'll bring in, people around the U.S. and local to Kansas City as well. So try to get a good mix.
Is there a cost to the building owner?
No cost to the building owner. They're willing to, donate if they'd like. For Spray See Mow, it's no cost, but it's not uncommon for them to, write the artist a check afterwards. We've had that happen a couple times, but no cost to the building owner itself.
So are we going to be under the same kind of restraint here with the locations needing to be presented so we can approve them as well?
Yeah, there's some that are outside
But
the
you got
historic district, I
60 more
believe,
days.
but
Right.
for the most part, yeah.
Just so he's aware of the timeframe.
And does this art follow under the same sort of longevity that the door project would, where, we want to keep them up for 2 or 3 years, or some kind of protective finish put over them so they last, those sort
Yeah,
of things?
I'd like to put a clear varnish over them and make them last as long as we can. For what we do in Kansas City, we have the building owners sign like a 2-year agreement of that's how long the wall has to stay up, and then after that, it's up to them. But as long as they can stay up, I'd like to, have them kind of be interwoven into the community of Leavenworth and just be something that's people grow up in and see.
So did I see this correctly? Is it a 2 to 3 year project or just a one-time festival?
One-time festival, but if the community loves it, I'd love to, keep going. I think we have enough walls for a couple of years of hosting the festival.
Okay,
And bring in a different group of artists each year.
okay.
And who's approving the architectural design work?
For the art, like the work that's going on in the building. Well, the building owner has to approve of it, and then the ones that are in the historic district, I'll give you guys concept work to approve the design.
Because personally, I don't like that one.
That one? Yeah.
I don't want to see that in Leavenworth.
Yeah, I'll keep the ones that are on Leavenworth, more tame, but, we like to keep the artists have, be artistically in control of their work, but the artists I'm bringing into Leavenworth are more conservative for the fact that this would be the first time of doing a mural fest in Leavenworth, and it's a little different than downtown Kansas City.
And it's the first city in Kansas, so
Yeah.
it's very historical. So, gotta have Abe Lincoln in there somewhere.
Of course.
And are any of these walls attached to historical buildings?
The ones in Kansas City, I believe so. We do in
No,
downtown Kansas
here.
City. And here, the ones that I'm looking for, there's some that might be attached to historical buildings. I'm not 100% sure. But normally our walls in downtown Kansas City, if there's, historical background or architectural, there's different like architecture like on it, just not just brick. We don't target those walls and don't want to paint on those walls. Normally it's just old brick buildings for Kansas City.
So I think it's kind of cool because yours is like a little bit of a teaser right before theirs, and it gets everybody excited for the art community. I mean, I think it's a great idea, both of them.
This is the project I patterned the doors after before Brandon approached us.
You copycat.
Great minds
awesome.
think alike.
I
Great
think it's
minds
awesome.
think alike.
I'm all for it.
So that, I think that, at least one of the consensus I'm hearing is that we're inclined to move in that direction. We just would ask that you'd be considerate of the fact that, that we are the first city in Kansas, and so we would hope that whatever embellishes our community in that sense is kind of reflective of that. Where I'm kind of going with that is that since we're going to have some input into the final selection, at least so that as you're soliciting considerations for the project here, that, you take that into the consideration. I know as an artist myself, you always want to put your personal thumbprint on it. For us, the challenge that we have is that we must also consider and be appreciative of the rest of the entire rest of the community, and the fact that our brand is that we are the first city in Kansas. And so as a product of our community and our school system, just like yourself, you know that we keep trying to push our envelope and keep sending ourselves forward. So I'm very appreciative that you're influencing your community in a very positive piece. So as you get your renderings and your selections together, I think I'm okay, and we'll be looking forward to making sure that if one of your selected buildings falls within preservation consideration, that, that we'll be ready to embrace that consideration. Is there anything else you'd have to contribute to us tonight, sir?
I believe it, unless you guys have any more questions, that's it for me.
Thank you for
Awesome,
thinking
thank
of
you.
Leavenworth.
Please.
Well, my question's the same. Will this be one project for $200? How are we gonna look at that?
This is gonna be a little more complex since you're gonna make it a festival. It's gonna have to go with Carla as well.
Have to do what?
Since it's gonna be a festival, we're gonna have to go with the route and loop Carla in.
Well, and as far as, I think it's just about the payment.
Oh, the payment?
Yeah, that I have to talk to Joy about.
Well, yeah, we'll see, we'll have to talk since we could just make it a blanket under the festival charge.
It should be two projects.
No, I'm sure that Carla does. I have no idea what Carla does.
I guess from our,
With the permit fee.
Right, the
Just
fee,
charge it
$200 for
all.
each building.
We'll have, we'll talk with Carla.
because from our point of view, if it's $200 per mural, that's a lot different than $200 for one application.
Right.
So I guess we need to know that information.
Can we encourage them to
Who decides that?
find the happy medium?
Julie, and then
Make it two
since it's a
applications.
festival, we'll have to talk about that too.
Okay.
Can we make it 2 applications?
Well, it have to be
The
separate
passageways
applications
and the
for each-
walls.
For each building, but as far as payment,
They
I'll
already
ask Julie if we can
determined
just do
that.
the 100, like you said, the umbrella, or if we're gonna charge per application.
Well, for the, I call it kind of the mini project in the beginning, I think it should just be one. For the bigger festival, I think it's a moneymaker for the city. It's a festival, should be more than one. That's just my approach, but.
It should be $200 per mural? Is that what you're saying?
I don't hear that it should be $200 per mural, but for the passageways, the umbrella,
I get that one.
the umbrella will be $200. And what I would ask if you could provide to the staff some of the price estimates on the things that you've done in Kansas City, which would kind of help us better correlate what we think as a presentation, not so much a preservation commission, because it's a different city governing body that's going to have to determine what the costs are going to be, so that maybe they would have a baseline, since this is not your first project. So it's always good to have numbers for people to be able to see, well, okay, this is what they were able to do in Kansas City per building, as far as their initial assessments and costs go, so that we at least provide them that kind of template, and hopefully that we can make some kind of amenable adjustment on what we're going to ask to do the individual buildings, because that's not something that we can make a determination on. Yes, Ms. Kane?
I have just a question. Are we talking about $200 only for the ones that are in the historic district, or are we talking about any building?
It's just in the historic district.
Just in the historic?
Just the ones in a historic district.
If it's not the historic district, it wouldn't have to come to this board.
It's outside.
Because this is the
historic
preservation committee.
Right,
Right.
so that was my question, if $200 applied, no matter where we did it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Michelle, question, I'm not familiar with the festival fees. Do you know, is there like?
That I don't, and that's what I think.
That's what we're trying to find out,
Yeah.
because
Just some
maybe the
research.
festival fee is substantial enough to cover our needs of the city, but also lower than expecting to pay a set fee per mural. So that might allow us some kind of balance in the middle, that we both could, the city and the festival, the spray sea would be happy with. I mean, that's my thought. There's gonna be some middle ground there somewhere.
So for our further planning, I know I'd sent Brandon a number, just photos that I have taken of sides of buildings. Since the majority of downtown is a historic district, they're not all historic buildings. So are you talking about historic buildings that are listed buildings, or in the district?
In the district.
It'd be a district, because that's what our,
Everything in district has to come up.
Oh,
that's
hey,
where
can I
our
add my house?
overview,
I'm just joking.
yeah. That's where the limits of this commission go to, is to the limits of the historic
I'm in the
district, so.
So if it's
In the
in the
historical part.
historic district and a listed property, we are not looking at any buildings that are unpainted brick. You know,
Correct, we
we
still keep
wouldn't-
with the historical requirements, meaning that you wouldn't paint it on a bare brick building.
Yep,
It'd have to
yep.
be existing
It's gonna
painting
go through the same process.
typeface,
as
so it'd be
your little
just,
postmark
yeah, just like
type
any other historic building criteria.
It's just like the Main Street building,
Yeah.
exact same thing.
thing.
Well, like I said, I think the majority of those photos I've sent are probably in the historic district, because that's what downtown mostly is. Like, maybe not down where Mr. Spock is, but
Yeah. he's
every
not.
place else.
Okay.
So we'll just work with staff, I guess, on how to work that
Yes,
out.
I will get with Julie tomorrow and kind of go over the discussions we had tonight. And Wendy get with you, Marty get with you. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow, it may be Friday or early next week, but get back to you as soon as possible, especially more than you.
So we need to have a motion to table this event till next month, or
No,
no?
this
No,
is
it's
just
just
a
information.
discussion.
Or just a discussion, okay.
But again, thank you very much for bringing it to your hometown. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the William Small Memorial Home for Aged Women.
This is just where y'all have a consensus of you're okay with it going on the National Register.
I have no idea who wrote up the documentation that you sent out to us, but it was fantastic. I mean, historical background was great. So
Pretty
it's a
sure
good
that was
deal.
the state.
Why are you guys giggling now?
It's definitely the state.
Oh,
Yeah.
Terrible, girl.
We give all the credit to you as part of the team, okay? But no, it's a wonderful piece. Was everybody up here on the panel, as I like to call us, had a chance to view that information?
Yeah, that's great.
And would someone care to make a recommendation?
I move we approve the William Small Memorial Home for Aged Women to be put on the National Registry.
Just to clarify, do we need to make a motion on this? It's just information
If
only?
y'all are okay with it, then we'll just.
We
tell
don't
them
need to
say
read
aye.
all that
Sorry,
stuff.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to clarify.
It'll take you another half hour to read through all 10 points.
Just need thumbs
so
up from
moving
everybody.
forward, so if that's established, do you guys make a plaque and take it out there and put it out there? How's that work? Because usually there's a plaque that's put out saying this is a National Historical
Honestly,
Site.
this is the first one I've dealt with since I've been here, so I honestly don't know.
And it's private property,
I would imagine it'd be property owner that does that.
So it's
You
up
don't
to
live in the
them.
city.
It's up to the property owner, because First Presbyterian, we're on the National Registry, but we don't have a
So they
plaque.
usually put, yeah.
Okay, because we're on the National Registry, but we already had a plaque, so I don't know how that works. Interesting. Okay.
So it's been moved that we approve, but it hasn't been seconded.
I'll second it.
It's not,
We don't need
It doesn't
to.
require a
No,
motion.
it's just a
Doesn't-
consensus.
It's just a consensus?
Good, there's nobody that's against it.
Okay, then.
Good enough.
It's easy, this is easy. Next part's gonna be the hard one, just.
I don't think so.
The next,
I think we have it figured out.
maybe it's, see, there's a second.
I think we do.
The next item, if there's no other discussion on that, the next item on our agenda is the election of officers.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment before nominations are made. Next month is my last month of my 3-year term I'm currently under, and I will not be seeking another term after next month. I've served for 9 years to the great people of the city and the staff, and I am ready to let someone else warm the chair up.
Aw, we will miss you.
My term also ends next month.
Okay.
I was filling out, I guess, somebody else's term, so
You want to keep going, keep going.
that's up to the mayor.
Yeah.
Well,
She'll be,
Yeah.
or he.
Do you have the information on how long our terms are? Yes, but no, of those of us, he's,
how much are left in your
yes,
term?
each of our
I
terms.
don't have it with me
I
tonight.
think mine's coming up again too, but I asked for reappointment.
Yeah, yours is in May, I remember from the email.
Oh my God, you've been looking at, you've been saying, Mr. Mayor, don't do her. No, Julie reached out to me because I've had some health issues and she's like, are you sure you want to do it? And I travel a lot and I'm like, no, I am home now because of health issues, so you got me.
Okay. So would someone care to make a nomination, even though you're going to not be part of the future, would you care to
Well,
render a
here's another
suggestion?
point of discussion in the fact that we don't have a couple of our other members here. Is it worth tabling until you have the other members here so you can include them?
We're missing two, aren't we?
Right, we're missing,
Denny and Kim Bauer.
that's just a point of discussion, I don't know.
Good point.
I don't think we can vote without them here, can we?
Well, you can, we have a
You
quorum,
can
but
Because
put
you
them
have
as
a quorum.
chair and vice chair if you want.
unless,
She would just love us.
unless you want to nominate yourselves,
I say we keep it status quo. I like who we got right now. I think he does a mighty fine
well,
job.
that's fine too.
Last year when we went through this, we nominated Rick, and I volunteered to be the vice or whatever. And I'll do the same thing this term.
Okay.
I second it.
So it's been moved and seconded that the status quo remain. We'll begin with our voting members of the quorum on this end.
Aye.
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 Aye. So it appears that I have the opportunity to work with some wonderful people. I will be calling some other people who are off the highway and have a little more time in their life. And I guess we'll wait on the mayor to make a determination on the longevity of other members, and hope that he realizes that we have a pretty nice chemistry going on up here, and that they'll endorse the continuance.
Also, if you don't see me up here, I got cut.
I know, well,
You wish to stay on, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, okay.
That's no biggie, but we gotta talk about it.
Okay, so, and then the, yes,
Number 8.
yes, the minor certificates of appropriateness. There's 3 items which we usually don't discuss in a lot of detail. Looks like a 2x8 wall sign. Does anyone can share with me whom is going to be producing that sign for them? Because I didn't see, unless I've overlooked it. When you wear glasses, you,
Off the top of my head, who's doing it?
okay, was just curious, that was all.
Those 3 don't need discussion anyway, do they?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
they don't, okay. So if they're in the FYI status, would someone do the appropriate thing?
What do we,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Oh, adjourn. I second it.
Oh, wait, whoa,
Adios.
Hang on,
whoa,
hang on.
whoa. Okay, since,
We're in the hold mode.
John, you're leading us. We want to acknowledge your service and your input.
We got cake for you.
Well, but we got a piece of paper. So, there you go.
Thank you.
Adjourn without that.
You bet.
Oh, fist bump it, yeah.
Yeah, Mark.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we need a photo of this. Photo op, with us last time. Come on now.
Oh, sure.
This is the last time he'll be with us.
I'll keep the mice
I
out.
dressed up for the occasion.
You want to hold your thing?
Here, wait, let's all squinch together.
We've had a good consensus and a good
Yeah.
one, so come on over.
There we go.
Here we go. How do we all look?
Wonderful. You ready? Cheese.
Cheese.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right, what are you doing with it?
I'm gonna blackmail you.
It's gonna be on the city website.
Have it message it to me on Facebook.
Yes, I will.
If there's nothing else from staff that we need to address, then I will entertain your previous motion, if you would care to make
Still
it.
stands.
I second it.
So it has been, it's been moved and properly seconded that we adjourn until our next opportunity. And again, as always, I'd like to thank everybody on staff because you help make sure that we're pretty efficient in managing our time well. John, of course, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
The chemistry is going to,
We might have another month, maybe, just
Maybe.
what our agenda is next month.
we'll see what our agenda is on the next month. We need you to stay around so you can make some contributions on the murals and the passageway. So the longer you can hold out, we'd all appreciate it. But I'd like to again thank everybody for the time and the input and as always, the support.
Thank you.
So we're adjourned at 7:03, and thank you, everybody that came in and added to our.
Enjoy the weather.
Enjoy the.